events or a repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man to go nuts if he can't shoot. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your
Ahmadiyyah.
skin?
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, given to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
I'm getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
Touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I won't always smoke like hookah. Talking reparations. America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like,
Every time put a sex game, my kick, the words, my faith, can't even only be money saves. It's like an earthquake, I'm calling you out. Queen of constant, just get it from your back. Such an awesome place, just a more for all.
all right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your nightly vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so I have been having technical difficulties. That's why my camera is off. I don't know what is going on with it. I'll have to fix it later. But for right now, we got to get into it because Billy Carson has embarrassed us all. Now, remember the other day when I told you guys I wanted to talk about something because I was experiencing secondhand embarrassment? Well, this is what it is, and here's where we are. So let's get ready to get into it. Okay, everyone, please hit that like button. Remember, it doesn't cost you a single thing to like and share this video.
Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr_Ashakur, TikTok at Dr. Ashakur, and Twitter at DGoddess27. And as per usual, if you don't like what the queen is cooking, you already know what to do. Okay, so let's see who's in here. We got Claudette, Lillian X, most hated bronze flat power god. Juju B is in the house. All right, thank you, Juju, for tuning in to be a mod late tonight. Okay, Truth Brown is here. Cookie. Okay, Ty is here. Aquarius MC. Lillian X. Deronda. Queen Amoni Huey. Dangerous is in here. All right, so let's get ready to get into it. Shout out to my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. I see you, Deronda, Bookhorse DC. Okay, Aqua Girl Rising is here. All Hell No is in the house. Melanin A1. Where have you been? Okay, so anyway, let's get into it. Amatullah Abdul Rahman. All right. Truth Brown's in the house. Okay, so let's get this party started. Guys, listen. Oh my goodness, I'm so embarrassed for Billy Carson. Okay, he got annihilated. Whatever was he thinking? I have several questions. But here's the thing though, in all honesty, you know, a lot of people who look like me knew that Billy Carson didn't know what he was talking about at all times. Okay, I mean, there have been some things that he said that, quite frankly, I had several questions. All right. Now, at the end of the day, I consider myself a bit of a biblical scholar as well. Okay, one with esoteric knowledge. But at the end of the day, I would never say that I'm one of the foremost scholars in the world, which is exactly what Billy said about himself. Now, mind you, he also said that he was God. And, you know, we are gods. The Bible says so in Psalm 82:6. You're all gods born of the Most High. But there's a difference in saying that you're a God as opposed to saying you're the God or I'm God, which is what Billy said. Okay, so I just want you all to pay attention because it looks like God is showing him who's really the boss. Okay, showing him who's really the boss. So let's get into it. And here's the thing. It is so sad that after he lost this debate so pitifully, that he went through all of these different things, making all of these myriad of excuses, you know, filing cease and desist, showing up at the man's house and all of this. This is all crazy. All Hell No said, oh Lord, say what now? Yes, this is what he did. So let's get into it. Now, before we get into the debate, let's go over a few things that Billy has said in the past. Okay, let me just see where I want to start here. Yeah, let's get into it. Okay, I'm going to pull up a video and I'm going to share my screen. For those of you who may not know exactly who Billy Carson is or what he's been up to, or why everybody hails him or hailed him at some point as being this biblical scholar, this person who was so full of knowledge and had all this expertise and things pertaining to the universe, manifestation, meditation, esoteric knowledge, philosophies. I mean, just a whole myriad of things. But now it looks like he has been brought down to size. And let me tell you what this all stems from. What this, Reggie said, I see the ring cam video of him 2 a.m. knocking on that man's door, begging him not to post the video. Yes, that's what he did, Reggie. It's all so sad. It is all so sad. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you what this all stems from. You see, Billy Carson is very arrogant, or at least he was. He can't be arrogant at this point. I should hope not. But he has been very arrogant, riding around in Bentleys, okay, flaunting cash and all of that. But what he didn't do, the first thing he messed up on is that he didn't research this person, Wesley Huff. He didn't research this person before he debated him. He thought that he knew so much that he didn't have to dare to wonder what the other person knew. Okay? He didn't have to wonder what the other person knew. That's what he probably thought. Didn't do his homework. Didn't go and look at this man's videos to see what kind of knowledge or expertise, if any, this man had. You know, like when somebody's in a football game, a football team, they go and try to look at the tapes of the other team that they're going to play. No matter how good they are, they want to see how this team moves. What's their strategies? What's their favorite moves? Okay? But Billy didn't do any of this. Sid Hart said he got annihilated. He absolutely did, and it was all so sad to watch. So I'm going to share my screen just to let you all see, you know, some of the things that Billy talked about, in the, you know, prior to this debate. and why so many people were paying him all this money, you know, to come and do speaking engagements, hold conferences, and all these things. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Question I challenge any Christian. Who wrote the Bible? I've never gotten the right answer since I've asked that question. Every time I ask them face to face, who wrote the Bible? They don't have no idea. They start telling me the apostles' names. You know, they start talking about Judas and John and all these. No, they wrote nothing. Those men were illiterate men. They couldn't even read or write. They were illiterate people. The Bible was written from 100 AD to 900 AD by Phoenicians, followers of Hermes, Thoth, the Atlantean priest king. That's who wrote the Bible. And they didn't write a Bible. What they did was they started copying ancient texts from all over the world, remnants of the Library of Alexandria, copying these ancient texts onto different parchment papers and stuffing them inside of vases and jars inside of caves. Over time, between 100 AD to 900 AD, people, explorers and archaeologists coming across these vases and opening them up, finding all these ancient writings. These ancient writings were copied from, okay, let me translate this tablet onto this writing, onto this parchment paper, and then I'm going to store it away, right? They would study these things and read them inside of caves in the middle of the night and stuff like that. And so over the course of that amount of time, 180 to 900 AD, that's after the death. Jesus and Paul and Judas and Matthew, they were dead 2,000 years prior. They were gone, long gone, ancient history. The Bible wasn't written in real time. Nobody was walking around going, what'd you say, Matthew? Let me write this down again. Wait, say that again, because I didn't quite hear that last sentence. Let me write this down again. Nobody's doing that. Nobody, oh no, oh Jesus, hold on. Say it one more time, sir. I didn't get that last quote you just said. Let me write this down one more time. Come on, man. That was written long after these people were gone and passed away. So where did this information come from? It came from ancient texts and ancient tablets, recopied onto different parchment papers. And the proof is in the pudding. You can go back and you can find those same exact quotes and statements and words out of the ancient text. It comes right from there. Some of it copied word for word directly onto these parchment papers. Then later, people who discovered these things, eventually they came together and brought them all together and said, hey, let's make a canonized book out of this. And that's when the Council of Nicaea got together and they started going through and curating what they would put into this canonized Bible and what they would not put into the canonized Bible. And then when they got to a good mix of neuroscience where they knew they can utilize this information to control masses of people, they said, we're going to put this one out right here. Boom. We altered this. We changed that. We mistranslated this by accident on purpose. We changed this around. We put this over here. We moved this around. We took out the part talking about aliens. We took out the part talking about spaceships and UFOs. Okay, so now I think we got something here. We can dominate the planet with this.
By Compendium of the Emerald Tablets by Billy Carson.
I forgot I had muted myself for a second, guys, but let me say this. Did he just say, first of all, why did he keep saying parchment paper? I'm confused. Was he trying to imply that they wrote these things on parchment paper in the ancient days? Because I thought, no, I could be incorrect, but I thought that parchment paper was made in 1847 by French scientist Jean-André Porromeri and Louis Figuier. That's what I thought. And it was supposed to be some type of chemical-based, plant-based paper or something that you bake things on like cookies. What is he talking about? He meant papyrus, didn't he? He said parchment paper about 3 times. See, let me tell you guys something. I want you to pay attention here. Durana said, that's what I asked too, Queen. Okay, now listen. Truth Brown said, right, just what he means. Break him down, Queen. Listen, let me tell you guys something. He obviously meant papyrus, but the problem with that is this. Had he said parchment paper just once, that would have been okay. We could have said it was just a Freudian slip. But he literally said it about 3 times. So what that says to me is this. For those of you who remember when I so eloquently exposed Vicky Dillard, aka Wig number 1, do you all remember that when she was stealing my talking points and she kept calling allegories of the Bible algorithms? Now, the first time we heard her say it, I thought, okay, just a Freudian slip. But then she said it about 2 or 3 more times. She even said it in a webinar where she charged people $144. She said algorithm. Algorithm and allegories are very different. They've nothing in common, except that they both start with an A and have L's in them. But here's the thing. So you open one so clearly you remember. And what did I tell you when she did that? And we noticed it. I said, you see, this is the difference between a scholar, which is what I am, and someone who simply mimics and repeats and regurgitates someone else's talking points or something they read that they just didn't really research and study. Something that they memorized. You see, Billy Carson is a person, please pay attention. He's a person who is good at memorizing things. He memorizes things. You know what my mother used to tell us when we were kids? My mother used to tell us when we were kids, you know, we'd have a test coming up, and she'd say, go study for your test that's coming up on Friday. And then I'd say, but Mom, I already studied. I already know all the answers. Can I go outside and play? She'd say, you don't know the answers. You just memorize them. She said, you memorize them. Now you go in there and you learn them so that you know them. Because when you memorize something, over time, you may forget it, which is usually what happens. But if you know something, that stays with you. I'm here to tell you that Billy Carson is someone who has simply memorized a bunch of things that he likely heard other people say. Because I've heard him misquote and say the wrong things on a myriad of times. There's been Black people that have called him out on his BS way before Wesley Huff. Wesley Huff just got the notoriety for it. But there's been Black people that have called him out before on his BS, okay? I want you all to pay attention. Oh, this is all so sad. It's really painful to listen to and to watch. I mean, at the end of the day, and then he's sitting here talking about parchment paper to add insult to injury. Now let's get into when he talked about Jesus going to Egypt. And the way he presents himself, you see, this is why people bought into his entire grift. Love Her says, or hold on, somebody said he was a plant. Who said that? Let me go back to the comment. Love Her said, like I said, he's a plant. You know, at the end of the day, I'll tell you what he isn't. He isn't a learned scholar. Okay? Reggie said, it is queen, but the grifters must be, it is queen, but the grifters must be exposed. Okay, it is sad and hurtful, yes, but you're right. He has to be exposed. Lillian X said, I really hate we can't see Queen's face. I know, right? Because y'all know how my eyes be popping, honey. This is all so crazy. So that all being said, let's go to when he spoke about Jesus going to Egypt. And you know, I was going to say that he speaks with such eloquence and he has charisma and all of that. He is well spoken. He's well dressed. Okay. He's a bit easy on the eyes. At the end of the day, this is why it was easy for him to fool people. Okay. This is why it was so easy for him to fool people. Miss Sheila said, I love this channel. Thank you, beloved, and I love you. Okay, so let's go to it because I absolutely cannot with Billy Carson. Billy Carson has turned into Billy Crystal. Okay, he's made a whole clown of himself, in other words. Please pay attention. This is all nefarious. This is all nefarious.
Yeshua, aka Jesus, was one of these students as well. Read the Gospel of the Holy 12. You'll find that when he disappeared from the Bible, where did he go? He went to Egypt. I've taken many people to the actual bed that he slept in, which is still there in Egypt. It's a shrine now. And he was there learning the Egyptian mysteries.
Let me stop right there. Did he just say that he's taken many people to see the bed that Jesus slept in? Does he have any pictures of this? Because I'd love to see them. But let's let him continue. Let him cook.
and this is well known, well documented. I mean, that was an apocryphal text that was left out of the Bible. He left there and went to Tibet to learn Reiki healing and Qigong and energy healing with his hands, and came down through India, learned the mystic arts. And then the Bible picks up at the age of 32, I called my son out of Egypt. That's what the Bible says. And he ends up riding it on the back of a donkey back in Jerusalem. So that's the loop that's missing out of there, 12 to 32. That chunk is missing out in the gospel of the Holy 12. Again,
now, I find it all interesting and ironic that he's talking about donkeys when he literally made one out of himself. Okay, he literally made an ass out of himself, but let's let him keep cooking, honey, because he's into it.
he also had the Mason knowledge. Now, the thing about knowledge is it can be used for good or it can be used for evil. You see, knowledge is just knowledge. If you have a gun and I have a car and you're trained on how to use a gun, well, you know how to use it, when to use it, because your mind is clear. You're not going to use it on anybody just because you want to. You're actually trained to hit enemy targets or to save civilians, right? Don't shoot civilians. I have a car. I have no training. I'm using ignorant knowledge and I'm just angry. I can take my car and I can kill people.
You guys, this did not age well. He said he's using ignorant knowledge. That's literally what he did through the entirety of the debate. Oh, my Lord, this is not working out good. Jen J said, subscribing now. You are in here preaching. You better. This is good. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. This is all nefarious. Now, you all know, like Luna said, this is the year of exposure. Didn't Cat Williams call it? Oh my goodness. I'm
just
done.
by driving my car right down the sidewalk, I can wipe out a ton of people. And you could be walking on that same sidewalk with a gun and you kill nobody, but you have the knowledge and I don't. So just a little bit of a metaphor there. It's nothing to do with the knowledge. It has to do with how it's applied.
Okay, so I'm sorry. In those talking points right there that he just used, he said that as if he was really spitting some game, as if he was really breaking it all down, but that's nothing. That is common sense, what he was just saying right there. And again, I want you all to pay attention because it's merely the fact that he speaks so eloquently and he's arrogant. So he makes himself, seem as though he's just everything that you need to listen to. But what he should have done before daring to battle in a whole debate, Wesley Huff, he should have not only studied him, but what he should have done is called Bishop Nathaniel. Okay? That's what he should have done. He should have called Bishop Nathaniel. He should have spoken to the Hebrew Israelites so they could have schooled him for once and for all on the King James Version of the Bible. Because I'm telling you, the way Wesley Huff was going in on him, I thought that he had taken lessons from the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, please pay attention. This is all so crazy. Okay, but let's keep going. Because here's one that I really enjoyed. He did this maybe a few weeks ago. He did an interview with Steve Harvey's daughter, who looks just like my best friend, by the way. And I'm talking about the spitting image. Even Steve Harvey told my best friend that she looks just like his daughter when she worked with him once. But with that all being said, he was sitting here telling her how Christians are worshiping Satan.
You were saying that most people have been following Satan this entire time while they thought they have been following Jesus.
Facts. The Bible is orchestrated and remixed in a way by this entity in order to lead human beings to their own demise. And that human beings themselves have been following and worshiping Satan this whole time by calling on Jesus and calling on God, which is really Enlil, Yahweh from the ancient Sumerian tablets, not really truly understanding the real God connection. Tower of Babel incident. Thousands of years before the Bible was written, it was Enlil, also known as Yahweh in the modern Bible. Satan, the Lord of Eden, E-D-I-N, coming out of Mesopotamia, also Enlil from the Sumerian tablets, known in the Bible as Yahweh, who shows up to find out what happened here in the garden. How come you got your clothes on now? You see, all these stories go back to ancient times, and you find out the real truth, and you begin to realize that, I haven't really been worshiping the God that I thought I was worshiping, because that God does exist. I'm gonna keep saying that God does exist. The blueprint or the fingerprint has been laid throughout all creation, via the Fibonacci sequence, right? Via pi and phi, mathematics. The language of God is mathematics.
many of you that follow my spiritual channel, guys, because he's talking about God's language is mathematics. The language of God is mathematics. How many of you, once in the chat, who follow my spiritual channel, remember me telling you and doing a thorough breakdown on how God's name is literally written in our DNA? Thank you, Aqua Girl Rising. I forgot I was muted for a second, beloved. Thank you. Yes, how many of you remember that? Once in the chat, if you remember the video that I did telling you guys that God's name is written in our DNA. Now, I wonder if he knows this. While he's sitting there talking about God's language is mathematics. Okay, but let's keep going. Hold on. This is all so sad.
I'm here.
Okay, now, this that I'm about to play for you is, in fact, a part of the debate. So I don't have any copyright issues, I'm going to put on a little music. Okay, give me just a second to get this cued and everything.
Good man, Billy Carson. If you want to, I guess, go first, Billy, as to how you came about, like the findings where it seems that Jesus was not crucified, or that's not accurate.
Sure. And in my videos, and if you listen to the podcast, the statement is according to the Sinai Bible, and the text there actually is about 12 to 14,000 differences between the Sinai Bible and the King James Version of the Bible, which came much later. And then also one of the things that were interesting is that they discovered the book of Jesus is, according to some scholars, that's a little controversial, but they claim that this is an accurate record that Jesus may have even been married, which then, adds more, if that's true, it adds more to the hypothesis that maybe he wasn't crucified. I just personally believe that Jesus was an amazing human being. I don't think that he was the Son of God in the sense that he's God, but that we're all gods. As he said, ye are gods. And I just personally believe that the return of the Christ is the return of the Christ consciousness. When we can all achieve a certain level of knowledge, wisdom, passion, understanding, empathy, love that he came to this planet with, and we get that in our mind and our consciousness, and we can act on those incredible emotions.
Hold on, you guys. I'm sorry. Hold on just a second. I had to pause because I want to go to someone's comment. I think someone just tried to clown us. Let me go to that comment. Hold on. Michael M. said, it's too funny, Queen. I could never get into him. He never made any sense. Okay, it's G News. Or is that supposed to be G Nuz? It says, mathematics frequency is the universal language and the universe is God. Y'all too primitive for that conversation. Beloved, please don't come in here for the first time thinking you know any of us, specifically me. Okay, no one said that he was incorrect. I just said I wondered if he knew that God's name is written in our DNA, because I've never heard him speak on that. And I'm an esoteric philosopher, so I too am a biblical scholar. Now, I'm not saying I'm one of the foremost in the world, as he has said, but what I will say is this. To your point, mathematics is the language with which God wrote the universe. And that came from Galileo. Okay, that's what Galileo taught. Okay, that's a direct quote from Galileo. So please sit down somewhere. Don't come here calling anybody primitive. You don't know us from a can of paint. You specifically don't know the Queen, honey. Okay, don't make me school you too, because I always know what I'm talking about. And when I don't know what I'm talking about, that's when I'm silenced. Please pay attention, but let's continue.
Oceans and that understanding that the whole world is going to transform instantaneously. And I think at the second coming is the coming of the Christ consciousness to the planet, not a human being flying back to Earth to save people. That's just my personal understanding of how I've perceived it over many, many years of going through this information and going through all this text.
When you say the Sinai Bible, what are you referring to specifically?
It's the biblical text that was written. It made it into you can actually look it up on Amazon. It's a Bible called, I have a version at home. It's called the Sinai Bible, right, from Mount Sinai. I'm assuming that's the mountain that they're referencing there. But they put together their own version of the biblical text prior to the King James Version being put out.
Sure. So when you refer to the Sinai Bible, would you be referring to Codex Sinaiticus? Like the codex that comes? Okay. That's why I was trying to get some clarification, because so you can actually go and see Codex Sinaiticus is at the British Library. So you can go and see it. It's on display. And the British Library has actually digitized the entire manuscript. So I work with manuscripts in my linguistic work. I'm an expert on early Christian scribal culture, and particularly in Greek and Coptic manuscripts. I actually have a facsimile. So I have a photocopy.
Now, hold on, you guys. Now, right here, when I saw him reach behind his back and pull out a facsimile, I said, oh, Lord, it's all over. It is literally all over. I knew that it was going to be bad right after that. Please pay attention.
It was done by the British Library of Codex Sinaiticus that I work with in my office. So I have it here. And the only reason I asked for clarification is because I want to make sure that what I'm addressing is actually what you mean.
Gotcha.
And not addressing something else. Because the Codex Sinaiticus in particular is just it's a 4th century Greek manuscript.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from approximately between 325 and 350 AD. Mm-hmm. And its text of the Gospels reads almost identical to the modern Greek text that we develop translations from. So my curiosity is just simply in kind of exploring, when you say that it denies the crucifixion or that the crucifixion isn't there, I mean, I can go on right now, Codex Sinaiticus, and I can look up the end of, say, Matthew 27, where it has Jesus being crucified.
There you go.
And that's in Codex Sinaiticus, or, the John 19, or any of the other ones. So I think my confusion is that it doesn't read any differently. So actually, are you able to pull up a website with the viewers or listeners or whatever be able to see that?
Right now to make sure I have the right the version that I'm looking at.
I'm just curious, like the Sinai Bible, where was that piece
I found
discovered?
the text where I was referencing. Actually, I was misquoted. I misquoted there. It's the Gospel of Barnabas.
So that's good. So let's deal with that too, because I've actually worked with, there are two.
I'm sorry, but no, he didn't say the Gospel of Barnabas. Y'all, are y'all listening? This is getting worse and worse. Please pay attention, but let him cook.
Manuscripts of the Gospel of Barnabas. The Gospel of Barnabas is a really interesting document because it is a known forgery. And so that's why I think it's important to get to these sources. So at the very start of the Gospel of Barnabas, which we only have 2 copies of, one is in Italian and one is in Spanish, we see right off the bat that the Gospel of Barnabas, not to be confused with either the Epistle of Barnabas or the Acts of Barnabas, which are 2 apocryphal documents from the 2nd century, but the Gospel of Barnabas in particular, we know it's a forgery because it does things like in chapter 92, it says that Jesus spent 40 days on Mount Sinai, and then he came to the Jordan River and he walked to Jerusalem. But Mount Sinai is more than a week's journey away from Jerusalem, and neither Mount Sinai nor Jerusalem are close to the Jordan River.
I mean, this is so sad. He could have looked at a simple map and realized that. Now, please look at the look on Billy's face. I'm going to remove the overlay for a second. Look at the look on his face. Oh, this is humiliating. This is humiliating. You know what I would have done if I were him at this moment? At this very moment, I would have just fallen out of my chair and pretended I was dead. They would have literally had to call 911 for me to get up. There's no way I would have sat there. This is all too much. Queen, have you done any work on the Emerald tablets? No, I have not. No, I absolutely have not, beloved. But I tell you what, if I was going to debate somebody, I would. Especially if I knew that they had any knowledge of it, okay? This is all so sad. Lillian said, not dead, Queen. Yes, honey, I would pretend that I was literally dead. Queen Billy knew he was cooked. He should have called Queen Mayday, man down, okay? Oh my God, he literally should have. This is pathetic, but let's continue.
Never mind there not being a route from the Jordan River to like around Mount Sinai or going to Jerusalem. But there are internal problems with the Gospel of Barnabas, which indicate that it shows no actual indication of evidence of coming from or even having knowledge of first century Jewish understanding. It actually says Jesus is the Christ, but not the Messiah, which indicates that whoever the author is, he didn't know that those were the same words. And I think a bigger problem is that the Gospel of Barnabas actually paraphrases Dante's Inferno, which was written in 1314. So there's a lot of...
Now, when Wes threw this tidbit of information in, I literally fell out of the bed. I'm not even joking. Okay, when he said that it was basically a cheap knockoff of Dante's Inferno, and of course I'm paraphrasing, but when he said that, oh, I was totally done. I was totally done. The True Royal Family said Wes comes off as a know-it-all. Well, let me tell you, I'm glad you brought that up, so let's get into it, beloved. He isn't a know-it-all, though he may think he is. I'm going to tell you what he did. What Wesley Huff has done is, you know, he studies the Bible. We can clearly see that he is, in fact, a biblical scholar. What he has done is he's watched Billy and he studied him, and that's what Billy didn't do. He did his homework on him. And it's easy to make someone look like a fool when you know their whole spiel, when you know what they're going to say, when you know how they've talked about certain things before, and when you know what to study to counter them, or you may already even have the knowledge. You know how to trip them up. And see, Billy didn't do his homework. This is a prime example of when we were in elementary school and you didn't have your homework when you came to class and you were unprepared and the teacher said, where's your homework? And you said, oh, my dog ate it. That's Billy. The dog ate Billy's homework. And that's why he's sitting there looking befuddled, because he doesn't know where to go from here. Okay, he does not know where to go from here. And this is just all sad and pathetic. At the end of the day, yes, Wesley is absolutely coming off as a know-it-all, because he knows that he's got him hook, line, and sinker. But I'll guarantee you this. Just because he is very skilled in what he's asking Billy Carson doesn't mean that he's smart as hell. Okay? Please pay attention. That doesn't mean that he's some genius or any of that. He just knew how to trip him up. You see, he knew Billy Carson's point of view. He studied his train of thought. He's watched the speeches and conferences that he's given. He knows all of his talking points. That's all it is. He's just sat here and studied him. He's not that smart. I'm here to tell you. Okay? I'm here to tell you. He is not that smart as far as I'm concerned. But let's continue.
Internal evidences that disqualify the Gospel of Barnabas, never mind the fact that we don't have any evidence of it prior to the 14th century, and none in any other language other than Middle Age Italian and Spanish. But the internal content of the Gospel of Barnabas disqualifies it from being ancient. And then the fact that it's doing things like paraphrasing Dante, or it also refers to a rule of the time of Jubilee, which was changed in the Middle Ages from what it was in the biblical year of Jubilee. And it goes with the Middle Ages concept, not the ancient concept. So if there is something that denies the crucifixion, I want to make sure that I'm analyzing it and that the methodology by which I analyze it actually reveals that the content can be accurately tied to the event. So if we're talking about, say, Codex Sinaiticus, that's in the 4th century. Now that is, I would agree with you, Billy, our oldest copy of the Bible in the sense of.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Drew Traver says he's an actual historian and researcher, though. Well, I'm a historian and researcher also. Now, and here's the thing. I'm an esoteric philosopher, and I know about the allegories in the Bible. I would like to know if Wesley Huff has studied any of that. You see, the bottom line is, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that Wesley Huff isn't smart or he's not a researcher. I can tell that he's a researcher. What I'm saying is he's not as smart as some people may think, because when some people hear, and neither is Billy Carson. You see, that's the thing. When Billy Carson was going around doing all of these speeches and all of that stuff, basically, Sherry, are you saying that, hold on, let me check this out. Sherry, are you saying that I'm full of crap? Well, honey, if I'm full of crap, she says I'm an emotional idiot. Oh, well, honey, let me tell you something. I find that absolutely nefarious. You're saying I'm an emotional idiot, but you're the one in my chat calling me names. Clearly, you're pressed because you don't like what I'm saying about Wesley. So I'll just do you a favor, beloved. Toodles, have a good night. Enjoy yourself while you're banned. Okay, not that I'm an emotional idiot. Honey, how have I been emotional? But you're the one calling names like a little child in the 1st grade. Please have several seats on the outside of the chat. But let me continue. Okay, don't come in here with that, because I'm just speaking facts. Okay, she wasn't of my hue. And so she was pressed. That's what that was. That was a racist person. I want you to pay attention. That was a racist person. Okay, please pay attention. She was upset because I'm speaking facts. Now, don't get mad, because just as well as I'm going in on Billy Carson, I can go in on Wesley Huff if I choose to. Wesley Huff is no genius. A researcher, yes. A historian, yes. But like I said, so am I. Okay, I'm a college professor. Okay, and at the end of the day, I study esoteric philosophy. Okay, I study all of these things that pertain to the Bible, not just what he's talking about. And like I said, I would like to know if he has any knowledge of the esoteric information that's hidden in the Bible. That's all. I just asked the question. Why did she get so mad and start to call names? I find it all interesting, but let's continue.
Cover to cover, Genesis to Revelation copy of the Bible.
Right.
The problem is that we have individual copies of all 4 Gospels going back hundreds of years before Codex Sinaiticus.
He's right.
So I have a facsimile behind me of P66. This is a late 2nd century copy of the Gospel of John. I work with this particular manuscript. I can just show the screen right here. This is an almost complete copy of the Gospel of John.
I have that papyrus at home.
Oh, that's
so I'll show you this. So the documents you actually see on my bookshelf behind me are facsimile papyri that I've made. Mm-hmm. So when I was in Egypt last summer, I went and I got made for me some papyrus sheets. And so I take these papyrus sheets, which are made from the papyrus plant, and then when I go and
let me address Wick Leovan. I hope I said your name right. He said there's no evidence of Jesus existed or the 12 apostles also. No evidence. Well, that is true. There is no evidence. Okay, I'm not going to argue with that. There is no evidence as far as I'm concerned. Now, I'm not going to say that he didn't exist, but there is no evidence of it. Okay, that's just the truth of the matter. And also, there's a lot of people in the Bible that are not real. Those people are just allegorical. I know some people don't want to hear that, but the facts are the facts. But let's continue.
I look at actual manuscripts. So I was at the University of Philadelphia last summer, and I went and I saw a document called P1, which is a 3rd century fragment of the beginning of the Gospel of Matthew. And so what I did is I sat down with that original and I produced a facsimile. I copied the text. First of all, I cut it out with an X-Acto knife in not the original 3rd century one on my papyrus. I cut out with an X-Acto knife this guy, and then
Now, when he pulled that out, it was time for Billy to head for the hills. Okay, he should have just left at that point. Now, Genu said So you're completely going to ignore the fact this dude been making videos about Billy for months and finally tricked him into a fake debate. Well, here's the thing, beloved. I don't know what he's been doing for months, okay? I literally never heard of Wesley Huff until this debate. Okay, so that's for number one. That's for number one. So I'm not ignoring that he made the videos for months. I didn't know that he made them. I never heard of him until now. You see, Billy Carson has made this dude famous. You see, they say that this dude had 16,000 subscribers. Now he has over 100,000, and that's in the past week or so, almost 2 weeks, okay? He has over 100,000 subscribers. So Billy Carson has made this dude famous. Pretty much. So I never heard of him. And also, you say he finally tricked him into a fake debate. Well, it wasn't fake. They literally had a debate. We all saw it and heard it. The bottom line is, whether he was tricked into it, whether he was ambushed or not, if he was such a learned scholar as he proclaims himself to be, he would not have been able to have been caught off guard. Okay, that's just my opinion, as you're entitled to yours, beloved. Now let's continue. And let me just say for the record, if anyone in here present in the chat or listening from elsewhere in the bushes or wherever you are, if you do not like what the queen is cooking, feel free to exit stage left. I'm not here to debate any of you in this chat. Okay, I'm in here. This is my channel. I'm giving my commentary the way I see fit. If you don't like the talking points, either deal with it or don't. That's it and that's all. Because my block game is real strong. And quite frankly, I don't care how many people are in here. Okay? Because I do this every day, all day, and twice on Sundays. Literally. So let's continue. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Copy the text transcriptionally on the front and the back. So papyrus is just simply, it's what it's made out of.
Yeah.
The only with what you said, Billy, is that we have single copies of the Gospels that can be dated to the 2nd century that all do have the crucifixion. And so if we're relying on something like the Gospel of Barnabas, which is not just like, it's not that there's debate about it, it's that it's a known forgery. I mean, no one's referring to the Gospel of Barnabas as anything other than...
If you say it's a known forgery, Nash, but I'm going to go with that. Let's talk about the Old Testament a little bit and leading up into the New Testament.
Well, hold on, because do you mind if I address the Gospel of Jesus' wife?
Sure, go ahead.
What was her name again? I'm like trying to write notes like I know what I'm doing, but I'm just curious.
So the Gospel of Jesus' wife doesn't actually mention. So oftentimes what happens is that the text of the Gospel of Jesus' wife is kind of paralleled with the Gospel of Philip, which mentions that that Jesus would kiss Mary Magdalene on the mouth. And so those are kind of used in parallel to kind of for this argument that Jesus was married. So the Gospel of Jesus' wife is in the Harvard Library. However, the reason we know it's also not legitimate is because even though the manuscript, the papyrus that it's on, was carbon dated to the 4th century, the text was actually copied from a PDF version of the Gospel of Thomas, known as Grand.
Okay, Genius, this is the last time I'm going to address you. So now what do you have to say? But you need them likes, though, as you just stated, LOL. No, actually, I don't. I just figure if you're in here, you must be in here because you like the commentary. So the least you can do is hit the like button. But anyway, I'm out. I'm just trying to support our black men like white people support Trump, even though they know he's wrong. Facts. And you're free to do so. Okay? Do you support Jay-Z and Diddy? All right. Peace out. Let's continue.
Interlinear, and there was a mistake in the Coptic text of Grandin's Interlinear that was copied into the Gospel of Jesus' wife. So we know that this is not a legitimate document, even though the papyrus is ancient, and this happens a lot with forgeries. I have a couple of friends who have actually worked on projects that have revealed forgeries within Dead Sea Scroll manuscripts and within other ancient Christian papyri. But the reason why we know the Gospel of Jesus' wife, and that Karen King, who kind of vouched for it and she lost a lot of credibility, unfortunately, for her, and she's admitted that it's a fake as well, was because we can tie it directly to not copying from an ancient text, but actually copying from an online version of the Gospel of Thomas in a PDF form. And the mistake on that PDF form was copied into the text of that was borrowed in the phraseology of Jesus' life.
Okay, so like I said, that was hard to watch at the end of the day. That was hard to watch. And here's the thing. As far as that person was in here talking about they're just here to support black people like white people support Trump. Listen, I'm all for black people and supporting them. They're my people. But at the end of the day, if you're a whole fraudster or a grifter, or if you're someone who's spreading mis and disinformation, I'm going to call you out. Okay? I'm going to call you out no matter what your race, ethnicity, or creed is. That's what I'm going to do. All right, especially if you're a detriment to my own people. So please have several seats. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But now let's continue, because this all just didn't end well.
Biggest threat to Christianity. And he calls himself, guess what, guys? I'm one of the foremost world leader in the knowledge on ancient texts and tablets, scriptures, papyruses, and cylinders. But Billy Carson recently faced a challenge like never before. A debate with Wesley Huff, a Christian scholar and historian. And afterwards, Billy reportedly showed up to the producer's house at 2:30 a.m. demanding that the footage not be released. And if you haven't heard about this debate yet, there is a reason for that.
In the wake of the interview, Billy Carson has asked that the recording not be released. In my personal opinion, the conversation did not go well for Billy, though.
But fortunately, I got my hands on a copy, and after watching it, I can see why Billy tried to keep this off the internet. For the very first, and likely the last time, Billy had a debate where his claims about Christianity were put to the test. So let's break down why this debate was so damaging to Billy's credibility and his claims about Christianity. So the debate started off with Billy's argument that Jesus was never crucified, which, of course, if true, that means that Christianity is false. And here's the evidence that he gave in support of his claim.
In my videos, and if you listen to the podcast, the statement is according to the Sinai Bible, Jesus wasn't crucified in that Bible. That Bible predates the King James Version of the Bible. And the text there actually is about 12 to 14,000 differences between the Sinai Bible and the King James Version of the Bible, which came much later. And then also one of the things that were interesting is that they discovered the book of Jesus' wife, which is at the Harvard Seminary, which according to some scholars, that's a little controversial, but they claim that this is an accurate record that Jesus may have even been married, which then, adds more, if that's true, it adds more to the hypothesis that maybe he wasn't crucified.
So basically, he's saying that this alleged Sinai Bible doesn't claim that Jesus was crucified and that it predates the King James Version of the Bible. And by the way, on a little side note, there's no such thing as a King James manuscript. Like the other translations, the King James Version is just based on the biblical manuscripts that were found. And in addition to the evidence that Billy provided against the crucifixion of Jesus, Billy also says that we discovered the book of Jesus' wife, which he claims shows that Jesus might have been married. Now,
you say the Sinai Bible. What are you referring to specifically?
It's the biblical text that was written. It made it into you can actually look it up on Amazon. It's a Bible I have a version at home. It's called the Sinai Bible, right, from Mount Sinai. I'm assuming that's the mountain that they're referencing there. But they put together their own version of the biblical text prior to the King James Version being put out.
Sure. So when you refer to the
Okay, I'm going to stop that right there. Now, as I told you guys, black people had already exposed Billy Carson. So while G-News or G-Nuz, whatever their name was in here getting all mad and butthurt and bent out of shape, we actually exposed him first, before Wesley Huff. Okay, and I think it's asinine, completely asinine, to act as though that because someone is black, we're not supposed to hold them accountable. Okay? That we're not supposed to hold them accountable. That's just asinine to even suggest. Now, I'm going to go to this young black woman calling him out on foolishness. Okay? And this was like a year ago.
People couldn't understand the lies that Billy Carson speaks. Let me explain how he is part of the deception.
Jesus disappears from the Bible at the age of 12. There's another text called the Gospel of the Holy 12. If you have the Gospel of the Holy 12, which is also missing from the Bible, if you have the Gospel of the Holy 12, you discover that when Jesus was 12 years old, he disappears from the Bible, and he's in this text.
The Gospel of the Holy 12 presents vegetarian versions of traditional teachings and events described in the canonical New Testament. And who wrote that text is S.G. Ousley. This is who they say is S.G. Ousley. He was a British entrepreneur, a linguist, and a diplomat. So Billy Carson is reading S.G. Ousley's teachings and his interpretation of what he thinks he knows about Christ. In that same book, it mentions Ousley, whom the gospel was written down. So this is Ousley's gospel, not Christ's gospel.
And in the Gospel of the Holy 12, which was omitted from the Bible, he goes to Egypt with his mother. He went there to study the Egyptian mysteries, went there also to learn all about the ancient mystery schools. And then he left there and he went to Tibet, and then he went down into India, learned about reincarnation and all of that. And then he came back down, and he reappears in the biblical text.
It is omitted from the Bible because it has no connection to the Bible. It's just a man's interpretation. Christ gets his anointment and understanding from God. So Christ didn't get his knowledge from Egypt, Tibet, or India, but from God. As is mentioned in Acts 10 and 38, how God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Ghost and with the power, who went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed of the devil, for God was with him.
The ego that he will have finding out that Jesus learned everything from India.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't tell him. And how do we know that he went out there to India?
The records have been kept, it's complete records. And even the Dalai Lama confirmed that he was in Tibet at one time.
These records Billy Carson is talking about are false interpretations of a man that they never witnessed, with false understanding of stolen biblical manuscripts that have no dates. Dalai Lama did not witness Christ. This is just his private interpretation. You must first understand that the Bible was looted from Ethiopia by the British Empire and gave false doctrine to the world to make it okay to have different interpretations. This is why Christ comes in the last days to speak the truth. Because no man knoweth the Son but the Father. Neither knoweth any man the Father save the Son, and he to whosoever the Son will reveal him. So Christ has to be revealed to you for you to know the Father, not taught by man's fables. This is another reason why the Bible is meant to be fulfilled, not interpret.
Okay, see, I told you guys, he already was getting called out on his lies. Now let's go to this other video where he's called out by this black man. Like, at the end of the day, he just wasn't on point with some of the things that he was saying, which leads me to believe that he was memorizing things, okay? Not having actual full knowledge of many of the things he spoke of.
Was Akhenaten Anunnaki? Now that's a great question.
Hell no. But keep going.
But after the Great Flood, they decided to hand kingship down to a liaison between them and the general population of humans. They were called pharaohs, aka kings. And to keep the bloodline established and to have that communication with a person that they felt that they could trust, that pharaoh would have to be half human and half Anunnaki.
He's lying, y'all. Akhenaten had real parents. And later on in the video, while making up shit, he's going to tell you that he had real parents. Let's keep going.
This is exactly what Akhenaten was doing. He had to answer to Aten, aka Amun-Ra. That was who he answered to. And Amun-Ra told him, start going around and defacing all the gods all throughout Egypt and throughout the lands. And he sent his team, his military, to go out and start chipping away at every single face that existed.
We all know that invaders and colonizers chipped the noses off of the pharaohs. But let's keep going.
He didn't have the typical Egyptian look, right? He had a weird shaped body and a super elongated head, and all of his kids had these gigantic heads. Even his wife had a gigantic head.
Just because they have gigantic heads doesn't make them aliens. Mound builders had gigantic heads in North and South America. Let's keep going.
His mother was Queen Taye, and his father was Amenhotep III.
Earlier in the video, he just said that he was half Anunnaki. So why in the fuck do he have two real parents? Billy Carson be making this shit up, y'all. Let's keep going.
Right.
and you look at their heads, also massive. So it's pretty interesting that this lineage had been established, and this is the lineage that was ruling over Egypt. These people with these super gigantic skulls with massive brains inside of them. Pretty interesting stuff.
Hell yeah, it's interesting if you making that shit up. These guys are put on the internet to discredit your people. They want to teach you aliens gave you technology and not the people that are original to the earth. You know the
Okay, so like I told you guys, I find it all very interesting. Billy Carson is just, this is all a bad look. And then to add insult to injury, he showed up at that man's house two or something in the morning, trying to get the man not to post the video. And then his wife had this to say. Now I'm going to play this audio.
Ambush right after this man had just gotten off tour from another country. How can a person fully function? Do you understand how the brain operates? He couldn't even breathe. They talked about him almost dying and all this other stuff. And then you want to put out a video about a debate? You debating a dead man, bro.
What? Billy Carson's wife accidentally exposes Billy. She weighed in on the recent debate between her husband, Billy Carson, and Wes Huff, a Christian historian and linguist, who masterfully but respectfully dismantled Billy and his lies about Jesus and Christianity. She made matters worse for Billy. No one forced Billy to debate. He could have canceled if he was sick. The main problem was Billy going to different podcasts and shows, lying that Jesus was never crucified and making false claims against Christianity.
Never got crucified. As a matter of fact, the Sinai Bible, this religion has got to come to an end.
It was an ambush right after this man had just gotten off tour from another country. How can a person fully function?
Okay, so his wife said it was an ambush right after he just gotten off tour from another country. Let me tell you something. I don't care how many countries I travel to and how many tours I go on. If I'm skilled and knowledgeable in something and anyone all of a sudden out of the blue ask me about it, I'll be able to answer the questions, unless, of course, it's something that I don't actually know and I've been masquerading as if I do. This is all just really sad. Okay, Jesus is Lord said Jesus Christ is Lord. Yes, he is, beloved. Okay, now with that all being said, let me pull up this cease and desist, because no, he didn't. I mean, he's just done at this point. Billy Carson has ruined his own career. Okay, all of that money he was making, he may have to. I don't know what he's going to do about that Bentley now. Okay, there it is. Y'all see it? Trying to stop the man from posting the video. I'm going to read it. It says, reference to cease and desist unauthorized use of name, image, and likeness. Dear Mr. Huff, I represent Forbidden Knowledge, Inc. and its CEO, Billy Carson. It has come to our attention that you have been using Mr. Carson's name, image, and likeness in your media productions without authorization. This letter serves as a formal demand that you cease and desist from these activities immediately. You are hereby instructed to refrain from using Mr. Carson's name, image, likeness, or any representation of thereof in any form, including but not limited to YouTube, Facebook, or any other social media platforms, television programming or streaming services, any other online or offline video platforms, as well as audio platforms. You must immediately remove any existing content featuring Mr. Carson from all public and private platforms, including media made in collaboration with others under your direction or influence, especially the content found. And then it has the Facebook URL. This directive includes all previously recorded or publicly available material. Failure to comply will result in legal actions being pursued against you for unauthorized use and violation of Mr. Carson's personal and intellectual property rights. We require written confirmation within 24 hours of your receipt of this letter that you have complied with these demands. Should you fail to adhere, we are prepared to escalate this matter legally, including filing a lawsuit against you. Be advised that Mr. Carson is prepared to seek substantial monetary damages for any harm caused. Please consider this letter as your formal notice of these demands. We trust you will act swiftly to rectify the situation. Thank you for your immediate attention to this matter. This is all so sad. Now, that right there was just the icing on the cake of foolishness for me. That was the icing on the cake of foolishness. And let me just tell you guys something. Juju said a whole fool. Luna said the repo man is coming. Let me tell y'all something. Reggie said I'm calling BS on his wife. Okay, let me tell you guys something. Here's the facts of the matter. Listen, I want you all to pay attention because Zane says Web Huff got 95,000 new subs. Yes, that's what I said earlier. I said at the beginning of this, Billy Carson has literally made him famous. Okay, this man had little over 16,000 subs. Now he has well over 100,000. Okay. Sid Hart says you hate when Wig uses your stuff. Okay, what does that have to do with anything, beloved? Okay, you know you can't stop people from copying, so just let them copy. I'm still the original. Okay, but here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention. D-Nice said guest exposing just not limited. Hold on, where did the comment go? Darn it. Where did that comment go? Hold on, you guys. Okay, D-Nice says guest exposing just not limited to the church, Hollywood, Diddy, or Jay. Well, you know, people got to get exposed. Abdul Kamara says Wes is a cloud chaser. Well, yeah, he definitely is. He's definitely a cloud chaser. But you see, here's the thing. This is why Billy Carson should have done his homework, okay? If he had done his homework simply, none of this would ever have happened. And if he felt that he was ambushed because his wife was trying to say that they didn't know that he was going to have this debate, that the guy was going to come on. Well, if he didn't know, that means his friend set him up. And if, in fact, that were the case, he should have simply said, listen, you know what? I'm not going to have this debate right now. I wasn't expecting it. I don't feel good. I literally almost died yesterday, because that's what he said after the fact. After the fact, he said that he almost died. Okay? So he should have said that before the debate. As soon as he realized this man was going to debate him and he wasn't prepared, he should have said, listen, dude, I almost died last night, literally. So, yeah, it's not going to work. I'm not going to be able, you know, to perform up to par. That's what he should have done, but he didn't do that. Okay, he went on ahead and had the debate. And so now, here we are. Okay, now here we are. And so let me go to this video of his response. Like everyone. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Whatever I said in the podcast somewhere one day. So the Codex Sinaiticus, often referred to as the Sinai Bible, is a 4th century Greek manuscript of the Bible. In contrast, the King James Version, is the KJV, is an English translation completed in 1611. Comparing these two involves examining differences in textual context, translation choices, and theological interpretations. And so here's the textual variations. Scholars estimate that there are approximately 14,800 differences between the Codex Sinaiticus and the King James Version. These variations range from minor discrepancies to wording to significant differences in the content. For instance, the Codex Sinaiticus includes books like the Epistle of Barnabas and the Shepherd of Hermas, which are absent in the King James Version. Notable omissions: several passages presented in the King James Version are missing from the Codex Sinaiticus. Mark 16:9-20, the longer ending Mark detailing the post-resurrection appearances of Jesus is absent, doesn't exist. It's not in there. That's Biblical Archaeology Review. Biblical Archaeology Review, that's the source. Just one of them. There's 8 sources, but that's just one of them. John 53:8-11, the account of the woman caught in adultery is not included. Biblical Archaeology Review.
Source, Luke 24:51. The phrase, and was carried up into heaven, describing Jesus' ascension, is missing. Biblical Archaeology Review. Now, they based 100,000 videos, and I do mean 100,000 videos of complete foolishness off of this information. And I'm sure they'll make a response video talking more crap and using my name. They can just listen. It is what it is. Those are opinionated videos. At that point, that doesn't matter. But the original video that I did not consent to, I'll be paid by pound of flesh for every appearance that it shows up on the entire internet. I will be. Trust me on this. Or there'll be judgments. And when you go to buy a house, or when you go to sell something, when you go to do anything, I'll have to get paid first. And I'm going to take all that money, all those winnings, and I'm going to buy a huge strip of land. Me and my wife already figured it out today. We're going to buy a huge strip of land, and we're going to build mini homes on there for homeless people with all the money, every single penny of it. And we're going to document, and we're going to post it. We're going to turn your darkness into light. Translation differences. KJV, translators worked from a limited set of late medieval Greek manuscripts, primarily the Textus Receptus and Hebrew texts available in the early 17th century. In contrast, the Codex Sinaiticus is an earlier manuscript reflecting a different textual tradition. These distinct source materials contribute to differences in wording and interpretation between the two versions. Theological implications. The variations between the Codex Sinaiticus and the KJV have led to differing theological understandings. For example, the absence of certain passages in the Codex Sinaiticus, such as the longer ending of Mark, affects narratives concerning the resurrection and ascension of Jesus.
Abdul Kamara says West is a wanton supremacist. That's what I say. He works for them undercover. It was a setup. They were all in on it. Well, that very well could be true. That still doesn't negate the fact that Billy didn't know what he was talking about. Okay, that still doesn't negate the fact that he got sources that were fraudulent. Okay, that he didn't vet his own sources, beloved. And as I said, black people have called him out before. Black people called him out way before West ever was even heard of. Okay, those were just two black people that I showed you that called him out. I've called him out before on things that he said that made no sense to me even. So that, there's no use in trying to defend this. This is all just point blank foolishness. That's just what it is. Okay, that's just what it is at the end of the day. Reggie said now they're having theological differences. Okay. Abdul says they told Wes exactly what to say. Again, none of that is relevant. None of that is relevant, beloved. Okay, I understand you want to defend him. I do too, but I'm embarrassed and I can't defend him. There's no defense I can give. Okay, if I were his attorney, I would tell him to take a plea deal. Okay, that's what I would do. There's no way to defend this. And as I said, black people have been calling him out. Okay? Black people have been calling him out. So with that all being said, he just wasn't on his stuff. Okay, he seems to me as a person who memorizes things rather than having actual knowledge for some of the things at which he speaks. Okay, let's talk about it. Yavi says, I agree. Thank you. True Brown said, how you set up a debate. He gave his own responses, just saying exactly. And like I said, he could easily have said, listen, I wasn't expecting to come here to debate you. I feel like I'm being ambushed. I'm not feeling well. I was sick yesterday. I almost passed out and died. That's what he said after. He should have said all of that before and just left it alone. But the bottom line is, and here's what Power to the God says, Billy finessing the slow folks. Absolutely. You see, here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention. At the end of the day, people like Billy Carson know that the average person does not read, study, nor research. So they can say a whole bunch of things that sound like they make sense and they sound good and knowledgeable, and you'll never know the difference unless you are someone who is learned yourself, unless you are someone who actually studies and reads and researches. I catch people like this all the time because unlike most, I absolutely do study, read, and research. Okay? Now, John Doe says, I love black people. Black people always go hard for God, or hardcore soldiers for God. And now, Reggie says, Billy should have said that before. Exactly. Okay, he should have absolutely said that in the beginning. Okay, I mean, this is all just crazy. But anyway, let him cook, like I said.
These differences highlight the importance of textual criticism and biblical studies to understand the development and transmission of biblical texts over time. While it's challenging to specify the exact number of words translated differently between the Codex Sinaiticus and the KJV due to their distinct textual basis and translation methodologies, the estimated 14,800 differences encompass both minor and significant variations that have implications for biblical interpretation and theology. You can tell this was written for me. No, I'm taking this from the source, Mr. Whoever you are in the live chat. Of course, this is cut and pasted from the direct source, from actual academic books. I'm not giving you this off my dome. I'm reading academic books. Come on now, tune in. Get your head on right. This is basic IQ stuff. So the next thing was about the gospel of Jesus's wife. I'll pull that back up in a minute. The next thing was about the gospel of Jesus's wife. That question.
At the end of the day, this should be a lesson learned, okay? This should be a lesson learned for everyone who is listening. And I want you all to listen to this because I'm going to show you something after. Okay. Oh, and by the way, when Wesley started in and he knew it was more than he could handle, he should have just copped deuces, if not fall out that chair like Queen said. Exactly. Listen, let me tell y'all something, honey. If when all else fails, I would have just passed out. What can anyone say? How do you clown someone who literally just passed out for dead? Okay? Or Queen, you should have Billy on. LOL. He's not coming on here to talk about that, beloved, especially if he sees this video. But here's the thing. Billy also could have flipped the script. When he started talking about West, that is, when West started saying that the Gospels of Barnabas and that other book saying they were fraudulent, they've been debunked, he could have said, well, how do you know that? Who's proven that they were debunked? Who says that they're fraudulent? Because there are other scholars who say that they're absolutely authentic. Who says that they've been fraudulent and they've been copied? They're inauthentic. Who said this? Do you have proof? He could have said something, but he went along with it. He said, well, if you say it's fraudulent, I'll go ahead and go with that. So let's talk about the Old Testament. And Wesley was like, no, let's talk about this. He tried to skirt away from the subject. Okay, Queen will put belt 2 behind on that man. He don't want none. Okay? He needs to sit down somewhere. But here's the thing I want you all to hear. Now, let me just share my screen so you all can see this first. And then I'm going to play this audio because this is why I'm not going to cape for Billy. This is why I'm not going to cape for Billy. I want y'all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention. Now, Billy Carson claims that when he was asking certain questions that Wes was trying to get the answers, trying to look up the answers. But that's exactly what he was doing. That's literally what he was doing. Y'all see that? Y'all see that he was literally looking for the answers. Now listen to this, what he says.
And the only one time I got to ask a couple of questions, I can see him on his screen on Chat GPT trying to look for the answer real quick.
Knowledge that I know, like when I really studied all this, what I thought was interesting about the Bible was how many like different eyewitness. I studied C.S. Lewis back in the day. How many different eyewitness?
No, he was literally looking for the answer. He was literally looking for the answer, you guys. So I'm sorry. There's no way to defend this, okay? There's no way to defend it at all. Now I want y'all to listen to this. This is what he said that his friend should have said.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. No.
Hold on, you'll hear this guy in the background saying, I'm not sure, I'm not sure. This dude is just trying to edit the video, okay? That's what he's doing so he doesn't get in trouble for using this audio or whatever. But listen to Billy Carson telling his friend how he should have acted about the whole situation.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. No. Business. We can do business in the most thing from the way. But you call me all types of names and something's wrong with me, and you said I'm evil and all of this, and then you expect me to speak to you like that, and interrupt me every time I try to speak.
He said his friend should have just basically, apologized and said, I'm sorry that we can't do business together anymore. His wife said he was sick. Billy said that he almost died the night before. So you guys, listen, trying to go in on Billy. I mean, I kind of am, but here's the thing. It's not in with ill intent. You see, this should serve as a lesson to all. Make sure that you know who you're dealing with before you challenge someone. Make sure you know who you're dealing with before you challenge someone. And make sure that you know what you're talking about and that you have vetted carefully your receipts before you present them as evidence. Luna says, I'm wiping the tears away. Queen is hilarious. This is hilarious. I mean, it is. And it's also sad at the same time. It's also said at the same time, Sister B said, I don't understand why other people have challenged him or haven't challenged him on the veracity of ancient biblical texts and additional texts. How he even got this far is astounding. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, beloved. Because here's the thing. There have been Black people that have absolutely called him out before. Like I said, I myself have called him out. There's things that he said that I just didn't, find to be truthful. And, some of it, I felt like he was literally just making it up. Some of the stuff I literally have said that he was making it up. But no one has challenged him. Now, I never thought about challenging him. Now, why other Black people didn't, I don't know. Now, I wish I had. Maybe I'd have 100,000 plus followers. Please pay attention. But the sad fact of the matter is, he did this to himself. Carol says, is this how Billy earns his living? Yes, it is. This is how he's able to ride around in that nice Bentley. This is how his wife is Asian. She looks Filipino. He's got a lovely wife. And of course, she's going to cape for him and say, oh, he was sick and this and that, because she knows that this is, in fact, the end of his career. Okay, she knows this is the end of it. And all that money they both had flowing in, that's not going to be coming anymore. So I hope they've been saving for a rainy day is all I'm saying. And, I'm not laughing at his downfall, but it's just the fact of the matter that he didn't know what he was talking about in some cases. And, I'm sorry for G News, or whoever that was in here going in so hard for him. Honey, his wife is not even Black. And not that matters to me, but I'm saying that for somebody who wants to be upset that I'm going in on him and talking about him being exposed, just because he's Black. Like, because he's Black, I'm not supposed to go in on him. Okay, I find that also interesting. Please sit down somewhere. That's right. For glory's sake, said false witness. Exactly. Okay, these false prophets are being exposed. Not just said, Queen, like Cat Williams said, all liars will be exposed. Exactly. Okay, it's up for everybody in 2024. Make no mistake. Okay, and that includes Billy Carson. So, like I said, you guys, I'm about to be out of here. This is a sad state of affairs. Reggie said he's kind of beneath you, Queen. You're authentic and original. He isn't. Thank you, beloved. I tried to be. I have extensively studied metaphysical information, esoteric knowledge and wisdom, and all of those things. And I've studied the Bible extensively, but I'm still not going to say that I'm one of the foremost biblical scholars in the world, as he said. And then you get up there, because here's the thing. This is why I can't feel sorry for him, because it is his own arrogance. And if he knows the Bible so well, then he should also know that the Bible says, and has still been proven true to this day, that pride goeth before the fall. And Billy Carson has been very prideful. He's boasted and bragged, and you see how he sat there and clowned other people as if they were foolish for believing the things that they believed. He said that he was one of the foremost biblical scholars in the world, not the United States, not in Africa, not in China, in the world. And I want you to really pay attention to that, because here's why. If, in fact, he were one of the foremost biblical scholars in the world, one of the most intellectual and all of that, as he proclaims, there's no way anyone could ever have ambushed him. There's no way anyone ever could have asked him questions that he didn't know about the Bible. There's no way he would have been getting his information from sources that have clearly been proven as fraudulent. There's no way he wouldn't have vetted his sources. There's no way that Wesley Huff or anyone else could have made him look like a fool. He said all of that. I'm one of the foremost in the world. So, like I said, this is what happens when you boast and brag and you liken yourself to the Most High. Okay? Billy Carson is looking like Satan right now, i.e. Lucifer, when he was cast out of heaven for trying to pretend that he himself was God, for wanting to be God, for acting and thinking that he could lead the angels away from the Most High and make himself the Most High. Because Billy Carson said that he's God. Not that he's a God, he said he is God. Okay, that's what he said. So anyway, everyone please like and share this video. If I made you mad or hurt your feelings, then don't bother to like. Don't be mad. Don't go away mad. Just go away. All right, but for those of you who appreciated this live and broadcast, please be sure to like and share. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. It is so late. It's almost 12 o'clock. So let me get on up out of here. Okay, and I will see you guys tomorrow for your morning wake-up call, even though it'll probably be a little later than usual because I'm up so late. Okay, so with that all been said, listen, I love you all to life. Okay, I want to thank you all for all that you do, for supporting the Queen, for defending me when the trolls come in the chat, for the cash apps, the super chats, for all that you do. Like and share this video, beloveds, okay? And I will talk to you all again soon. And remember, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive, Billy Carson. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive, Billy Carson, because you just destructed your whole entire career and livelihood and bank account. But most of all, Billy Carson and everyone else within the sound of the Queen's voice, always remember to keep the Most High, Billy Carson, first in your life, okay? Not your pride, not your finances, okay? Keep the Most High first in your lives, okay? Until next time, beloveds, peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the Queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the Queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the Queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and and I got Malcolm X in my jeans, and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got